This video is for people who are prepping on the most stringent of budgets, and the tips that I'm going to provide you today, you're not going to hear anywhere else, and they will probably put you ahead of most of the big money preppers out there. So let's get to it. Now, I've been poor for most of my life. It was so bad at one point that I had to do things that went against my own morals in order to survive. I've had to steal food when I was younger, and it's not something that I condone or am proud of in the least. There's a lot of people right now who are in financial dire straits, and for many of them, the thought of having preps, or any surplus for that matter, isn't even on the radar. They are just surviving day to day, living paycheck to paycheck. It's very easy to get caught up in this rat race of prepping when you see all this amazing technology and gadgets. But at the end of the day, there's a few things that really are going to determine your survivability. Temperament, tenacity, skills, your mental acumen, physical capability, adaptiveness, life experience, street smarts, and above all else, the will to press on. All of these traits are going to be leveraged to procure gear and supplies when times get tough. These are all things that can't be bought. So if you are new to prepping, here are some tips on how you can acquire the material, mental, and physical capabilities that you are going to need to succeed. In this video, I'm not going to be offering financial advice or how to save or earn more money. I find a lot of those videos say the same common sense things over and over again. It pretty much amounts to earn more and spend less. This video is simply how you can get prepared by spending less or nothing at all. Tip number 1, thrift stores. For some of us, thrift stores are just a bunch of junk that nobody wanted. But in spite of being secondhand, there are a lot of useful things that can be used in there for survival purposes. Survival gear is a lot like a new car. Right when you drive it off the lot, its value is going to decline. The difference between a new and a used knife or a new and a used backpack isn't that much in terms of the functionality and aesthetic. So give these places a chance and you may be surprised at what you can find. The next tip is to go on Craigslist or Kijiji and look for people who are giving away things for free. A lot of times people are willing to part way with stuff as long as the person comes and picks it up, because it saves them a trip to the dump or haggling with people to sell it. Also, be on the lookout for really good bargains. A lot of prepping stuff, especially the stuff that's used for macro preparedness, things that you would use in a homestead or an off-grid abode, are things that people are usually willing to part with for next to nothing. Check out these tote bladders, for instance. For only $15, you can get a way to store 1,000 liters of water. You're not going to beat that anywhere else. And that's just one example of the things you can find on these types of websites. Another thing you can do is start a YouTube channel and reach out to certain companies for products which don't really cost that much, products that are under $50, and tell them that you will do a review of that item if they send you it for free. You will be surprised at how many companies will do this even just to get a little bit of exposure. Just remember to do a fair and honest review so not to tarnish your reputation. And if you really got a lot of time on your hands, and I mean really got a lot of time, look up YouTube giveaways in the survival and prepping genre. At any given time, there's usually a dozen or so giveaways being coordinated by channels who are usually trying to expand their sub counts. If you can go and enter these giveaways whenever they come up, chances are eventually you're going to get lucky. Another thing you can do, granted you have the means to get yourself there, is to go camping on crown land, also known as public land or basically government land if you're living in the United States. This is the best camping that you're ever going to find because unlike the provincial, regional, and national parks, you're probably going to be the only one there. And you're also going to be able to do a lot more on these types of lands than you would be able to in a national park. By that I mean camping wherever you want, building temporary shelters to practice your bushcraft skills, or even discharging firearms in certain places. This is the best camping and it's truly free. Another thing you can do is request permission to hunt on private land. There are some landowners who will be willing to allow you to hunt on their land if you are willing to give them a portion of what you hunt. A great way to coordinate this is by going on Craigslist or Kijiji. Another tip that I'm only advising you do at your own risk is to access file sharing websites and different applications. File sharing websites could potentially be a compendium for prepping data. There is a website, for instance, that is overrun by pirates that happens to be the only bay that may have access to thousands of free prepping documents neatly compressed into a nice little file that all you have to do is download. Hint, hint. In the same respect, there are a ton of free survival and prepping apps for your phone. I go over those in a video that I did earlier this year. And I know what you're thinking. Big Brother is going to be watching you light fires, building your super shelters, and skinny dipping in the woods. But if push comes to shove and we do wind up on the set of the Hunger Games, you can always torch your phone. But you can't download an app that uses state-of-the-art AI to identify non-toxic wild edibles after the grid goes down offline. You just can't do that. So if you're walking around with a phone right now, you might as well load it up with free survival apps. The next tip I'm going to give you is something that I wasn't proud of when I had to do it, but if you have to do it, I guess you have to do it, and if there's no laws against it, then is it really illegal? Now, when I was a starving student, there was a McDonald's that was close to our dormitories. I made sure that whenever I went there, that I took an extra helping of condiments. If there's no posted limit, then technically you're allowed to take a few extra, if you know what I'm saying. It didn't stop there though. We were so hard up as undergrads that I may or may have not kleptoed toilet paper from a public restroom on one occasion or another. It's nothing I'm proud of, but perhaps that's why I'm now known as the foremost preparedness toilet paper guru on YouTube. Who would have thought that one struggling liberal arts student's petty thefts would magnify into a worldwide shortage come crunch time? No pun intended. Any condiments, soaps, shampoos if you're staying in a hotel, coffees, creamers, plastic utensils, and anything not tied down, in my opinion, is fair game. Another thing I'll say is that knowledge is mostly free. As long as you have an internet connection, you can learn almost everything there is to learn about anything for free. And if you don't have an internet connection, go to the library, they'll let you use theirs, or the local coffee shop. Consider that only 20 years ago, this would have been virtually, no pun intended, impossible without living in a library, and only a fraction as good. You have the information superhighway at your fingertips, so use it. Another tip is fitness. Ultimately, survival is about fitness. He who survives longest is usually somebody who is in good physical condition. That doesn't mean you need to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, or even an Olympian, and you don't need a gym membership to stay fit. The best workouts are free. If you do things like calisthenics, you can maintain a great physique, and in some cases, much better than the average gym rats. Go check out the Bar Stars YouTube channel and find out how you can not only get ripped, but actually be probably among the most functionally fit people in the world. Now up next, if you are planning on doling out a few bucks, check out my video on dollar store prepping. I go over 101 different preps that you can find at the dollar store. You can literally cover 95% of your survival bases under $100, and I'm not lying. Go check out that video. As far as food and water is concerned, we've probably beat this dead horse on this channel plenty of times, but you can go buy yourself a $20 bottle of Pool Shock. Pool Shock is a powder that you can use to make bleach. It's gonna last way longer than bleach, and one bucket can purify thousands and thousands of gallons of water. You combine that with your big 40-pound sacks of rice and beans, and for a few $100, you're set for a few months. Now obviously, we're talking no frills, but it's gonna get the job done, and that's what matters most. Now if you want to build a discount bug out bag, go and check out my discount bug out bag video that goes into great depth about building a cheap, comprehensive, but perfectly satisfactory bag that's gonna get you to safety after disaster strikes. Another thing you can do that's gonna take more work and it's gonna require that you have a bit of land is start a garden. Although it's gonna require an initial investment of seeds, tools, and fertilizers, the amount of food that you are going to reap at the current hyperinflated street value is going to be immense. Believe it or not, nature provides everything to us for free. You just have to know how to get it. In the same vein, there may be places that have wild edibles around where you live that you can go and forage. If you're not proficient at this, it's probably not going to be a great use of your time, and honestly, I would advise you to just go and work for minimum wage instead. But if for whatever reason you can't work and you find yourself in peak berry picking season, get out there, grab a few buckets, and get her done. Another thing you can do is hit up the local food banks. These food banks are there for a reason. Oftentimes they have a lot of the staple goods that preppers stockpile. Frequenting one of these places every other week, you can quickly build up a significant stockpile of food. And last but not least, simply look around the house. Most things that you're going to put in your bug out bag, you're going to find around the house. For example, nails. Nails have hundreds of uses in a survival situation. In fact, I've done a whole video just on nails and prepping. Yet nobody seems to have these in their bug out bag. Another example is candles. Pretty much everybody I know has at least 1 or 2 candles kicking around the house. Another thing is Vaseline. Vaseline has a multitude of survival uses and really should be up there in the top 10 of survival products. Chances are you got a jar of Vaseline somewhere. You know who I'm talking about. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any tips on how to prep while you're poor. There's a lot of people right now that need all the help that they can get. So please, if you know any hacks, let us know below. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and check out the other videos referenced in this video in the description section below. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com. The best quality products at the best prices. Use discount code SURVIVALPREPPER, all caps, all one word, for 10% off. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.